Pandemonium here in Chicago as the Chicago Bulls have just been introduced to the crowd, and here are the starting lineups for the Philadelphia 76ers. Ricky Green and Hersey Hawkins in the backcourt. Armin Gilliam, Charles Barkley are up front, and the center, Rick Mahorn, the coach of the 76ers. Jim Lineman, similar to Phil Jackson, he's done a superb job in a potentially disruptive setting. He's kept a volatile Sixers squad from self-destructing. John Paxson, Michael Jordan open to the backcourt for the Bulls, who go with their usual starting lineup, although Phil Jackson was telling us there could be quite a bit of shuffling here today with the matchup problems that the Sixers present. And you see the rest of the lineup with Cartwright at center and Pippen and Grant at the forwards. And Phil Jackson, the head coach of the Bulls, telling us yesterday at practice that he was upset with his team's performance against the 76ers 3 weeks ago, a game won by Philly in overtime. Despite the absence of Charles Barkley, he said the Bulls were lackadaisical defensively.
Well, things like that can happen at the end of the season, particularly when you no longer can attain certain goals. Portland had locked up the best record overall in the NBA. They had won the division already, and it's tough to keep them going sometimes when there have been so many big games during the course of the season.
And it was Barkley after that game who, as we said, sat out, who's pointed out that the Bulls showed lack of respect for the 76ers that day. They did not take the game seriously, as it turned out during the regular season. The Sixers beat the Bulls 3 out of 4. Philadelphia beating the Bulls here twice. Once in that overtime session, they split 2 games at the Spectrum in Philadelphia.
Charles was planning his motivational tour career by just using every opportunity he could to get his teammates ready for what might happen after the season.
Well, he pointed out that part of that disrespect was demonstrated by Michael Jordan, who had a golf date earlier in the day at 7:30 in the morning. Hugh Evans, Bennett Salvatore, and Ronnie Nunn are the officials. It'll be Gilliam and Cartwright on the opening tip. And game 1 of the best-of-7 is underway as the Bulls control the tip. The matchup opens with Barkley against Pippen and Hawkins going against Jordan. Ricky Green guarding John Paxson. And Mahorn against Cartwright, who goes right at him. They try to get him off early. Gilliam tipped it home. Well, Grant gets credit for it, and it's a 2-0 Chicago lead.
One of the points of emphasis is the fact that Gilliam needs to get on the glass more. He went after it. Unfortunately, it worked out the wrong way as the jumper is knocked down by Hersey Hawkins to start it off for the 76ers.
There was a point earlier in his career that Hersey Hawkins was said to be intimidated by Michael Jordan, but he's played well against him over the past year. Nice pass for Grant, and the Bulls lead at 4-2.
When Chicago's offense is operating as they intended to, you'll see a lot of movement without the basketball, an occasional backdoor layup.
Mahorn isolated against Cartwright. Rick Mahorn has been on fire. Coming in shooting 78% against the Milwaukee Bucks. And that was a new playoff record. Cartwright feeling for Mahorn, going right at him. Yes. The Bulls 6 and the 76ers 2.
And Chicago really stays with its game plan early. They said yesterday that one of the areas they felt was Cartwright scoring over the top of Mahorn. As they come down early in the game, we see him go right at him.
Crowd reacts to the foul. A push out on Scottie Pippen.
Pippen changing sides on Barkley, trying to give him different looks down in the post. Comes around on the baseline trying to get a piece.
Ricky Green checking it over. Now Pippen right on Barkley. And Hawkins from deep. Paxson checking the floor. Jordan using the pick, met on a switch. Now backing Hawkins. Yes, the Bulls 8 and the 76ers 2. In an injury-hit regular season, the Sixers went 44-38. They finished second to the Boston Celtics in the Atlantic Division. Getting to this point, a major accomplishment for Jim Lineman. Cartwright on the rebound. The Bulls at 61-21 during the regular campaign. Best record in the history of the franchise. The double up on Jordan, who got it to Grant, got the step. Bulls able to get back. And now Jordan guarding Barkley. Grant over to help. Hawkins had the lane closed by Pippen. Good defensive sequence by the Bulls.
Well, the Bulls are so athletic, they can switch at times on the floor and still not wind up with a real bad matchup.
Jordan with the reject and an official timeout. They want to reset the 24. The 24-second clock showing 24, but it has been changed to a 22.
Because the ball hits the rim, there should be a reset. They had the clock at 2 seconds. Now it's back to 22.
3:10 gone by in this first quarter. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. Game 2 Monday night here in Chicago. Gilliam posting on Grant. Armin Gilliam coming off a good series against the Bucks. Sixers struggling here in the early moments. It will be Chicago ball.
There was a period of time during the season without Charles Barkley where Armin Gilliam stepped up his game, basically took over the offensive load for this team, and it was a good sign for the 76ers. But down the road, could they exist together? Charles told us yesterday, no problem at all. I was happy to see him play that well.
Jordan lost it. And here's Green on the run, going 1-on-3 and hitting. Spectacular move by the 36-year-old Ricky Green. Pippen getting down in a hurry, and he answers.
Well, I don't think there's any question here. Neither team is afraid to come right back at the other one and put points up on the board.
It's the Bulls 10, the 76ers 4. Gilliam. And the Bulls on the run. Pippen for Paxson, wide open. And a loose ball foul being called. It's on the 76ers.
One thing that Philadelphia tries to do is get the ball back down the floor after makes or misses. Ricky Green, one of the best at pushing it back at you, making your transition defense have to work. And talking about transition, Charles Barkley really struggled that last time down. He was the last person down the floor for both teams.
Cartwright, yes. And a Philadelphia foul was called on Mahorn. And the Bulls wasting no time on the inbounds. Cartwright with his second bucket. Bulls with a 12-4 advantage. Green. Barkley had it slapped away. And Pippen putting the moves on is stopped by the combination of Mahorn and Hawkins. Pippen again on a deceptive dribble. It's a 3-on-2. Barkley with the spin. Hawkins, and he'll go to the line.
Well, in fairness to the 76ers, they just can't get some of the short shots to drop for him right now. But it's interesting that even though he hasn't been able to knock them down, Jim Lynam keeps going at Armin Gilliam. That must have been the strategy before the game to get him off early. He's staying with it. We haven't seen Barkley involved a whole lot other than transition stuff that's turned up.
Percy Hawkins, one of the better free throw shooters in the NBA. He's 87% from the line. Charles Barkley has made it back from a sprain of the medial collateral ligament in his left knee, still slowed by that brace that encases the knee, and he is playing with restraint. The spin moves, told us last night, have to be controlled.
Well, the first time he tried one of his favorite moves, he said there was so much pain, he decided at that point, I'm going to shelve that one for a while until I'm feeling a lot better.
Chicago 12 and Philadelphia 6. Cartwright, yes. Fast start for Bill Cartwright, and the Bulls lead by 8.
Gilliam wound up on Cartwright. Chicago takes advantage, goes right back inside. Bill's just too big for Gilliam to play.
Cartwright had a solid series against Patrick Ewing and the New York Knicks. Pippen guns it down. Jordan putting the move on Hawkins. Yes! And it counts. So the Bulls take a timeout. Michael Jordan going one-on-one against Hersey Hawkins. A moment ago, Michael Jordan went right at Hersey Hawkins, who will have his hands full throughout the afternoon. We talked with Hersey about his matchup with Michael Jordan.
Keep jump shots, and try to keep him out of the lane, push him left every time, and, you know, just hope for help. I think Chicago plays their best when Michael is in the lane, when he's dunking, when he's getting other people involved. So if we can make him shoot a lot of jump shots, make the game boring to him, then, you know, maybe he's not as interested in going through the lane and all that.
Well, to this point, the boredom has not set in for Michael Jordan.
To me, the most impressive thing is the attitude that the Chicago Bulls came out on the floor with. Everyone very solemn in their approach to this. You could see the game plan, what they wanted to do. Everyone is doing their part so far. They jumped out to the big early lead.
And the Sixers, who shot so well in the sweep of Milwaukee, only 2 for 11 from the field. Off the press, Cartwright picks it off. Jordan for Pippen. The Bulls have ripped off a 19-6 lead.
And as they do in almost every game, the Bulls, after a free throw, will give you some type of pressure, some type of press. How you react is the key thing. As Barkley makes sure that one's going down.
Just under 6 minutes remaining in the first quarter. A blazing start by the Chicago Bulls. They now lead it 19-8. Grant played by Gilliam. There's Pippen for Cartwright. Bill Cartwright on fire. He's hit 4 out of 5. The Bulls 21 and the 76ers 8.
We've gotten a chance to see Chicago down the stretch a couple of times, and to me, Bill Cartwright is playing the best ball of this season down the stretch.
The poor Philadelphia shooting continues. Meanwhile, the Bulls continue the onslaught. Make it 23-8, Chicago. Barkley getting inside, and it's now 23-10.
Philly going back to probably its most used play during the regular season, the isolation for Charles Barkley on the left side of the floor. We'll see that a number of times this afternoon.
Pippen with a good fake, and the bucket. Scottie Pippen has hit 4 out of 5. He has 8, and the Bulls have a 25-10 lead. Sixers now 4 for 14 from the field. Illegal defense called on Chicago.
A moment ago, we saw the best play for Philadelphia, which is the isolation of Charles Barkley. They simply spread the rest of the players out on the floor, and they want to see who's going to come and double-team Charles when he puts it on the floor. Paxson starts to come, but Charles spins away and goes baseline to make the score.
Manute Bol and Ron Anderson have come off the bench. Early substitutions for Jim Lynam. Again, the isolation played very well by Grant.
The difference that time is the isolation was Charles down low on the low right block. Last time, left sideline, they approached the isolations differently during the course of the game, just like Chicago does with Michael Jordan.
Manute Bol played well against the Bucks. Changed game 2 with 5 blocks to turn it in the 76ers' favor. Hawkins had nowhere to go. Anderson stopped. That was deflected by Pippen.
Keep in mind, Hersey Hawkins is going up against the guy that has been named the best defensive player in the NBA a couple seasons ago. It is not easy to get a shot off against Michael Jordan. When he is zeroed in, he's one of the best at the guard spot.
Pippen again. Scottie Pippen has hit 5 out of 6. The Bulls have come out and connected on 13 of 17. And the Sixers want to talk it over. Timeout taken.
Miller Genuine Draft presents #1 draft choices.
And today's Miller #1 draft pick, Bill Cartwright of the Bulls, before being drafted 3rd overall back in 1979 by the New York Knicks, led the University of San Francisco Dons to 3 conference titles. Knicks traded him to the Bulls for Charles Oakley, and despite missing almost 2 full years due to injuries, he has scored over 11,000 NBA points and off to the superb start here this afternoon. Look at the Bulls shooting 13 for 17, while the Sixers 4 out of 15 coming off the sensational shooting series in the sweep of Milwaukee, led by Mahorn and Andre Turner and Ricky Green. They swept the Bucks in total domination by surprising Milwaukee.
Talk about concentration. Left hand down for the low pass, right hand up to challenge the shot, or the overhead pass. Hershey tries to shake him with a little fake back to his left shoulder. Jordan's right there waiting, challenge. I'm not going to shoot this one. Give it to somebody else. Maybe the best defensive guard in the NBA, Michael Jordan.
Percy Hawkins had a good game against Jordan here 3 weeks ago in that overtime victory. Michael did return the favor with 41 points. Off the double team, Barkley was fouled, and he'll go to the line. A reminder, at the end of today's broadcast, we'll be selecting the Miller Genuine Draft Player of the game. Bill Cartwright called for that foul, his first, and Charles Barkley to the line for the first time.
The factor for the 76ers will be the number of times they get to the free throw line against this Chicago Bull team, noted throughout the season for playing excellent team defense but not fouling a lot. They were the #1 team in the NBA. Fewest players disqualified during the season, the Chicago Bulls. So you must take it at them. You must go strong to the basket to earn your free throw attempts.
3.5 to go in this first quarter. The Bulls 27, 76ers 12. Light pressure by the Sixers.
Jimmy Lynam trying to change the tempo of this game. Obviously not happy with the way it started out. Maybe giving a little different look to Chicago.
And that different look represented by Manute Bol up front now with Ron Anderson and Charles Barkley. The shot clock is down to 3. Jordan for 3. Cartwright on the rebound. Bill Cartwright has hit 5 out of 6 for 10 points. It is Chicago 29 and Philadelphia 12. Anderson has hurt the Bulls these last couple of years. Hawkins with the spin. Crowd wanted to travel. Here's Barkley. Charles Barkley getting inside for the box out. 29-14 Bulls. Barkley jumping out, not able to maintain possession. Jordan goes to the fadeaway. 7 points for Jordan. Bulls 31 and the 76ers 14.
Well, he's knocked a couple out over the smaller guards. That time he said, let me see if I can get one up over the top of Manute. He certainly did.
Michael Jordan took over the game in New York last Tuesday. That's a steal by Jordan. Won't count. It is a 2-shot foul indicated by Bennett Salvatore.
2 shots because Bennett Salvatore felt that Michael Jordan had a clear path to the basket. Ricky Green fouled him from behind. He was not between Jordan and the front of the rim. Therefore, instead of taking it out on the side, he gets to shoot the 2 free throws.
Ricky Green, after committing the foul, will sit down. Andre Turner will check in. Andre Turner has played well this season against Chicago. There is Andre in his 5th year out of Memphis State, a player who's made the rounds. 3 games with Boston back in '86-'87. He had short stays with Houston, Milwaukee, Charlotte, Miami, the LA Clippers, parts of 3 seasons in the CBA. He was originally a 3rd-round pick of the Lakers back in 1986. B.J. Armstrong checks in for the first time, replacing John Paxson. Michael Jordan took over the game against the Knicks last Tuesday in the wrapper, broke it open in the 3rd quarter, and finished with 33 points on 14 of 28 from the field, along with 7 assists and 6 steals. And he has opened strong with 9 points in this first quarter. Bulls with an 18-point lead. 1:45 to go in the quarter. And the poor shooting by the Sixers continues. It will be Philadelphia ball. My fault, said Horace Grant. Armstrong remaining with Turner.
There's a concern on the Bulls' part as to what player can match up against Turner and keep his penetration to a small amount and, in transition, get back to stop him.
Nice pass from Barkley. Turner could not connect on the reverse. Sixers get the new 24. Barkley again facing the double team and kicks it out. Anderson goes to the left hand, and that is offensive interference.
The ball was still in the cylinder when Anderson went back up for the second opportunity. I think this ball would have gone in on its own had he not touched it. He just tried to help the cause.
We are down to 1 minute left in a first quarter that has been all Chicago. Cartwright open. Yes, he has 12, and the Bulls lead by 20.
The Bulls are running a little baseline screen series. Cartwright steps out, sets a screen. The Bulls let one of their players fly off him, and when Cartwright's man goes to help out, he just steps in the middle of the lane. He's wide open.
Now Grant guarding Barkley. Help from Armstrong as Barkley swings in. Yes, and it counts. What a move by Charles Barkley.
He just scored the basketball that time over and through 3 Bulls players. Armstrong, Pippen, and Grant. He splits the double. Here comes the third player, Pippen, to try and block. Little pump, still scores. Great concentration. You can imagine the strength in this man.
A raw greeting. Bill Cartwright headed to the bench. Will Perdue, who has played very well as of late, also hearing it from the crowd, but the cheers are for Cartwright, who hit 6 out of 7 for 12 points. The foul by Grant, putting Barkley at the line. He completed the three-point play, and the Bulls with a 34-17 lead. Jordan sweeping in. He challenged Bull, and the Sixers have a 3-on-2. Bulls able to get back.
You may have wondered why Jordan took it so quick to the basket. He was hoping that they would get 2 shots to end out this quarter. If the Sixers shoot, they get it back again for the last shot.
Anderson for 3. Ron Anderson, who normally does not look for the 3, was able to hit. Pippen did not see the pass, had to save it, and succeeds. Here's Grant. Final seconds of the quarter. Andre Turner. That's the end of the first. It's the Bulls 34 and the 76ers 20. Bill Cartwright with 12 points to spark the Bulls in this opening quarter of Game 1 of the best of 7.
Welcome back to Chicago Stadium. I'm Ahmad Rashad, joined by the original Hersey Hawkins Sr. I guess it's good news, bad news. Good to have your son back home, but bad news because he's facing this hot Chicago Bull team.
Oh, they'll make a comeback.
You think they're on their way back?
Yeah, they will. 16 down, 3 more quarters, so got trouble this on them.
Well, one of the tough things, he's got the impossible task of trying to guard Michael Jordan, but in the past, he's given Jordan some problems defensively.
Well, I don't think nobody can guard Jordan.
Can Jordan guard your son?
Not really. He's going to get his point.
All right, well, thanks for joining me. Good luck to your son's team. All right, Marv.
All right, Ahmad. Hersey Hawkins, one of 3 Chicago natives on the 76ers, along with Ron Anderson and Ricky Green. Hersey had a rough time in the first quarter, 1 out of 4, and had difficulty locating shots. Andre Turner in the backcourt with Hersey Hawkins, Manute Bol, Charles Barkley, and Ron Anderson up front as we get started in the second. Here's Barkley with the step, and again Charles will go to the foul line.
Look for Charles Barkley to take it upon himself to turn this game around and get the 76ers back into it. Give him the basketball every opportunity. Let him go to the basket. Hopefully get some three-point plays out of it. But he needs to initiate some things. The Sixers have no easy scores in this first half of basketball.
Will Perdue called for the foul. You hear the noise in the background. they have distributed, I guess you would call it a rattling device, Mike. I know you can associate with this a little bit easier. Clackers. Good. Thank you so much.
Yes,
not part of my vocabulary. Clackers have been distributed. There they are. Track crew documenting every possible shot here at Chicago Stadium.
With Bull on the floor, the Sixers right now go into their 2-2-1 press, trying to force some turnovers, trying to change the tempo of this basketball game in their favor.
Greg Hodges, who just checked in. It's 34-22 Chicago. They led by as many as 20. Sixers have hit on their last. They have run off 8 consecutive points. Anderson and Barkley try to keep it alive. Last touched by Chicago.
Whenever the Bulls suspect that the Sixers are going to go into the press, the trap, they put Hodges in the deep corner and tell him to fire the three-pointers. 3 for 5 in the first series against the Knicks from behind the three-point line.
We showed you the excellent shooting by the Sixers in the series against Milwaukee. That was actually an aberration for this club. 10 on the shot clock. Turner forcing one. Firing it high and wide. It will be Chicago ball. The 76ers are the only team to have a winning record and shoot worse from the field than its opponents, although they shot exceptionally well against the Bucks. That is a most unusual stat. Pippen off the pick. Scottie Pippen has hit 6 of 7. He has 12 points.
If they are going to continue to use Minute's man to set screens, and I'm talking about the Chicago Bulls, Minute will have to step up and challenge the jump shooters. He can't lay back too far, or else they're wide open shots.
And here's Minute. Purdue on the rebound. Oh, Barkley nearly picked it off. Armstrong and Hodges at the guards. Jordan sitting down. Purdue with Pippen and Grant up front. Purdue changed his mind and then lost it. Not much of the category of hands on both sides of the ledger.
But when that ball's on the floor, you need to get down on the floor and get after it. Reaching down is not going to get it for you as Hersey knocks out a three-pointer.
The Sixers climbing back into it. Now down by 11 with 2:15 gone by in the second. They were down by as many as 20 in the first quarter. Philly shooting only 7 for 22 in the first. Stay right here, says Hugh Evans. Foul being indicated. It's on Andre Turner. Timeout has been called. We'll be back in a moment. In talking with Bulls and Sixers players the last couple of days, it's been made clear that this will be a very physical series. Charles Barkley was telling us last season, prior to the playoff series with the Bulls, the Sixers style was actually affected by warnings from the league office.
We're a very physical team. We're not dirty, but we're very physical. We don't give up layups. And I think last year, after the officials met with us and told they were going to toss anybody who threw in their hard fouls, I think we definitely got intimidated. We're not going to live with that this year. We're going to come out and play 76er type basketball.
Well, Mike, to this point, it has been quiet in that department, but the Bulls say they expect very aggressive play. From Chicago's point of view, how do you handle the Sixers' aggressive mentality?
Well, I think the aggressiveness starts at the defensive end of the floor, and so far in this game, Philadelphia has not been aggressive at the defensive end. Chicago does what it wants, but Phil Jackson does a real good job of preparing the team. They understand they're going to be hard fouls, no easy layups. We're going to have to go to the free throw line, make our shots, but they can't lose their concentration.
Will Purdue has given the Bulls a 38-25 lead. The Sixers in the midst of an 11-2 run before that bucket by Purdue. Barkley 4 out of 5. The rest of the squad 4 for 21. And Purdue on the rebound. Will Purdue had a 16-point double-figure rebound game in New York on Tuesday as the Knicks were swept by the Bulls. Here's Grant. And Hawkins getting inside. Hersey Hawkins going to the boards effectively. That his 6th rebound. 3 minutes gone by in the second. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad from Chicago Stadium. Stacey King getting set to come on for the first time. Armin Gilliam, who just checked back, takes one cross court. And Anderson couldn't handle the pass from Hawkins.
One of the things that Jimmy Lynam is counting on is Manute Bol turning this game around defensively. In game 2, a 26-point swing. Here, Manute doesn't really get out quick enough to challenge the shot by Purdue. He's got to be active. He's got to get a couple blocks, which will get the Sixers out running. In game 2 against Milwaukee, 76ers were down 14, and within 9 minutes with Bol on the floor, they were up 12.
Anderson on the foul. Yes, when Manute came in, Cartwright also was able to get the open 15-footer. Manute did not come out to challenge.
Jordan shot a jumper over the top of him. Pippen knocked out a jump over the top. He needs to be a little bit more active right now.
Stacey King is checked in. He had an excellent playoff series against the Sixers last year in the absence of Scottie Pippen. Stacey King and Ed Neely, who's now a member of the Phoenix Suns, who provided a lift off the bench. Gilliam. Bol tried the tip. King gets to it. Hodges. And it's Purdue on the rebound. Blocked by Bol.
And Bol actually had guessed wrong the first time, went up and missed the first block, but he's so big and his arm's so long, he got it on the second chance.
Hawkins with the spin, hit on the reach-in.
Keep an eye on Will Purdue, who will leave and go double team because Manute Bol is so far from the basket. Bol needs to go right to the offensive boards when the shot goes up and be a factor on the offensive glass. Shot up, there's Bol trying to get a piece.
Craig Hodges called for that foul. Michael Jordan is back, replacing Hodges. And a recent addition to the Sixers squad, Robert Reed, a 13-year NBA veteran out of St. Mary's College in Texas, has checked in. Spent 10 years with Houston, a year with Charlotte, then Portland, and now the 76ers. Crowd responds to the Purdue rebound. Bol's 38 and the 76ers 25. It is now Reed guarding Jordan. It's Purdue again.
Manute complaining to the official that he got pushed to the back, but tough bounce for the 76ers, long over the top of Manute, right into Will's hands.
The center combination of Bill Cartwright and Will Purdue has given the Bulls very solid play. Cartwright hits 6 of 7 for 12. Purdue has done a good job. P.J. Armstrong with that last foul. Will Purdue getting position off the boards on Manute Bol and then able to put the short hook right through.
It's Charles Barkley with today's word.
Today's word is find.
Tell the boys and girls how you get fined, Charles.
You can get fined for a lot of things, like yelling, arguing, and bad-mouthing an official, but most of all, for fighting.
Have you ever been fined, Charles?
Never, ever. No.
Charles is a great player, but he has a lousy memory.
Never, ever.
There's a thread that runs through our lives.
Coming up next, the second half of our NBA playoff doubleheader, the fifth and deciding game between Seattle and Portland, as they are in a surprising development tied at 2. Dick Enberg and Steve Jones will have it for you. Sean Kemp and his Supersonics against Clyde the Glide and his Trailblazers. That is next, following the Bulls and the 76ers.
And if Seattle would have had McKee for game number 2, there's no telling what might have happened in that game because they played him extremely well, extremely close in those first 2 losses.
And this is a man who's been playing extremely well. The combination of Purdue and Cartwright creating havoc for the 76ers, who stay with Manute Bol up front. Armin Gilliam and now Charles Barkley back. They're at the forward spots. Andre Turner and Ron Anderson at a big guard slot. And Gilliam backing into King was hit. Stacey King called for the foul.
Well, the Sixers defense has cooled off the Bulls somewhat. Now they just need to start scoring a little bit at the other end of the floor. I mean, it can't be a shutout for the rest of the game. It doesn't work for the 76ers that way.
A cameo appearance by Robert Reed. He immediately sits down. Jim Lynam now going to the big guard setup. The double on Gilliam, and he's able to recapture. Barkley for three. Yes, Charles Barkley with lots of time to think about it, and then able to hit. He has 16 points. 16 of the 28 Philadelphia points. Rare miss by Pippen, and that a climbing foul on Purdue, who gets a look from Manute.
Well, Manute got crushed on that last rebound from both sides. Purdue on the one side, King on the other side. I mean, Manute's not a real big guy when you look at him across from shoulder to shoulder. They sandwich him in between.
Shoulder to shoulder, yes, that's certainly true. He is the tallest player in the history of the NBA. Very casually hits that first free throw. Manute is only 58% from the line. Bulls 40 and the Sixers 29. Chicago led by as many as 20. They came out blistering in the first quarter. Shot clock at 5. Armstrong. B.J. Armstrong going glass. B.J. has been in pain recently. Had a front tooth loosened in a practice session last week when he collided with Craig Hodges. His dentist tightened the tooth. B.J. able to hang in. 5.5 remaining in this first half. Anderson again for three. Pippen on the rebound.
Generally speaking, when teams double team, the ball is supposed to be able to move quicker than the defense can recover. That's not happening with the 76ers. Their ball movement is too slow. Their spacing is not good. They're not in their proper spots. And Chicago is so good at recovering, they're matched right back up with their people.
Shot clock at 3. Jordan. A remarkable play to draw the foul with that shot clock running down. It's Manute Bol.
Speak of creativity, this man has done almost everything that we've seen in the game that's new, and he'll find something else before it's over.
Cliff Levingston getting set to come on. Rick Mahorn will return. Jordan 2 out of 3 from the line. And Manute will sit down. He's having some words with someone on the Chicago bench. And Phil Cartwright replaces Will Purdue. 4 points, 5 rebounds for Purdue. The Bulls 44 and the 76ers 29. Turner got the step. Gilliam lost it. Here's Jordan.
Against this Chicago team, you've got to make your moves quickly. They're just too good at recovering defensively. You hold the ball, they're right there in your face, challenging, making things happen with their defense.
Illegal defense called for the second time. So that spells technical foul.
And Phil Jackson questions it because he says, hey, if I'm double teaming, we should be able to rotate. Hands in, lead to easy scores at the other end, and Jordan, the best finisher in the game.
Phil Jackson in his second year as head coach of the Bulls, an assistant under Doug Collins for 2 years, had a 13-year career in the NBA, primarily with the New York Knicks, including the 72-73 championship season. Percy Hawkins is back. Bulls by 16. And they now go to a front line of Barkley with Mahorn and Gilliam. Turner and Hawkins in the backcourt. 4:25 to go in the first half. The foul on Levingston. He is now matched with Barkley.
And Barkley got a little chuckle out of that because Charles initiated that contact along the baseline by moving into Cliff Levingston as he came off the baseline screen. I think Charles knows he got a good whistle that time.
The Bulls have been over the limit for some time, and Phil Jackson has not been pleased.
And Phil, getting his 2 cents in with the officials right now, not wanting him to call it too close against Charles and the 76ers. Livingston keeping a body on him, fights his way through the screen by Hawkins. And as far as Cliff is concerned, that's just normal contact in the NBA.
Charles 6 for 6 from the foul line. The Horns back tap delivered to Barkley. Sixers down by 15. It's now a one-on-one matchup. Armstrong trying to come over to help out, and again Barkley to the line. Armstrong slipped, comes up limping.
If you don't come quickly on Charles Barkley, what he'll do is split you. He's waiting to see if Armstrong's going to come. He doesn't see him coming. He goes on his own. The slip by Armstrong leads to 2 free throws.
Foul on Livingston. Grant has returned. Grant up front now with Cartwright and Livingston. Getting to this point for the 76ers, quite an accomplishment for the coaching staff when you consider the series of injuries suffered by Charles Barkley, losing Johnny Dawkins. The major trade made midway through the season, which changed the makeup of this squad, acquiring Armin Gilliam, losing Mike Jaminski. And keep in mind, this is a team that has had 19 different players on the roster. Robert Reed is number 19.
Let's mention in the one game that Johnny Dawkins did get to play against Chicago back in the beginning of the season, he had 25 points for the point guard spot.
Here's Jordan. Bulls by 13 with 3:45 to go first half. Caught right over to help. And Turner was fouled. He was hit by Jordan. No argument from Michael.
23, Michael Jordan, his first penalty.
Johnny Dawkins suffering a knee injury that put him out for the season. He has been working out, looking to next year. Jim lineup told us Dawkins ahead of schedule, should be ready for training camp. Look at the starting lineup opening day for the Sixers. Mahorn, Barkley, Jaminski, Dawkins, and Hawkins. So this club has gone through a major overhaul, yet they finished 6 over 500, knock out the Bucks in 3 in the opening round, and here they are in the second round of the playoffs. And many would say they do not have a legitimate center. Rich Mahorn is more of a power forward or a backup center, and they come off the bench with a new ball.
And that's why, in fairness, up until the late season injury, people were talking about Charles Barkley for MVP.
And Barkley called for the hard foul. That is his first personal.
One of those things we talked about. There'll be no easy scores. Expect to get knocked to the ground. Jordan keeping his eye one way, but seeing the other, finds his teammate underneath. Michael looks deep right, but spots Grant under the basket. And Barkley says, there are no easy layups here.
And in talking to Chicago players, they say they understand it, what is said and what will happen and how they react. We'll see. That was the first aggressive move to this point.
The 76ers, for whatever the reason, did not come out today aggressive at the defensive end of the floor. They didn't make things happen. They were kind of catching rather than giving at the defensive end. I think Jim Lynam would like them to be a little bit more aggressive. I'm sure he'll mention that at halftime.
Of course, the pace of the Bulls, who were getting off shots early within the 24 and hitting them in the first quarter, had to contribute because the Sixers couldn't catch the Bulls.
And it's a little bit easier to make shots when nobody's guarding you or when you have a lot of room.
Double up on Barkley as we come up on 3 minutes to go in this first half. Here's Gilliam. Yes, Armin Gilliam missed his first 5. That's his first field goal. And the Sixers down by as many as 20, hanging around. Now trailing by 11. Cartwright not happy with the defensive work by Gilliam, but still able to hit.
And Gilliam did a good job taking away the initial move to the middle of the floor, but then never moved his feet when Cartwright turned baseline.
14 points for Bill Cartwright. And the 76ers call for a timeout.
You can body up, taking away the middle, but then when he goes baseline, you just can't stand there. You've got to make a move to challenge that shot.
here at halftime, and we'll talk about the Sixers' strategy against the Bulls. First of all, how is it?
It's about patience, tempo. It's about shot selection and the 90s, and I'm not talking about decade either.
They want to hold the score in the 90s.
Yes, they got to keep it down there. Otherwise, the quickness of the Bulls is just going to be too much fun.
And we'll talk about Portland's upcoming 5th and deciding game against Seattle. That's at halftime. For now, back to Marv and Mike in Chicago.
Thanks, Bob and Pat. And back here at Chicago Stadium, it's the Bulls 50 and the 76ers 37. And the story of this first half, the combination of Bill Cartwright and Will Perdue for the season, they averaged a combined 15.5 per ball game. First round of the playoffs against the Knicks, they were very effective against Patrick Ewing, who did not have a good series. And in this first half, look at the stats as opposed to the 76er combination of Rick Mahorn and Manute Bol, who have combined for 1 point thus far.
Rick Mahorn in 7 minutes, no points, no rebounds. In that last series against Milwaukee, he was 14 for 18 from the floor, 78%. They've done it at both ends, scoring and then stopping him at the other end.
2.5 minutes to go. First half. Turner got the step. Barkley on the follow, and he is fouled. Once again, Charles will go to the line. 76ers are shooting only 30% for this first half. However, they are 14 for 16 from the foul line, and that has kept them in this ball game.
Yeah, and the guy stepping up to the line right now, Charles Barkley, did not have a real good series from the foul line versus Milwaukee, only shooting 67% in that series. So it's very important for Charles to concentrate here and make these free throw attempts. If he's going to keep going to the basket, the Bulls will continue to foul him.
Barkley is 9 for 10 from the free throw line. Charles Barkley last year in the playoff series against the Bulls was so worn down that he had his difficulties at the free throw line. He missed 14 of his 25 over the last 2 games.
Also some problems with his shoulder during that series.
Bulls by 11 with 2:20 to go. First half, game 1 of the best of 7, game 2 here in Chicago on Monday night. Jordan, and he'll shoot a pair. Hersey Hawkins called for his second.
And Phil Jackson very happy with the execution. Obviously off the timeout, they make a decision. Let's go down, post Michael down low. They get him in that low post area, and then he's so tough down there. You've got to have help come quickly. He gets his defensive man up in the air, and it's all over.
Michael Jordan, 4 out of 5 from the free throw line. Michael Jordan, the #1 all-time scorer in terms of average, 32 per game, and in the playoffs, he is also at the top of the list, averaging better than 35 per game. He hit for 43 a game against the Sixers in their playoff series a year ago, and just took over in the 4th quarter, averaging 15 for a 4th quarter last season. That is an extraordinary number.
They had a little different philosophy, though. They tried to play him straight up last year, and Jimmy Lyman told us last night he's changing that this year. They're going to double him much more.
2 on the shot clock. Gilliam. And he was hit from behind. Ronnie Nunn with the call on Pippen.
One of the problems that some people felt had taken place after the trade by acquiring Armin Gilliam is the fact that he is most comfortable down low on the block. When you take him away from the basket, that's not normal for him. He doesn't feel comfortable. And we see here in this first half of basketball, he doesn't make quick things happen offensively. When he steps out away from the block, he takes his time at the offensive end. And this Bulls team is too quick defensively. They react to him.
Change on that foul call. It was Jordan with a second, not Pippen. And Barkley able to get to it. It is only a 12-point Chicago lead. We appear to be on the way to a blowout, and Charles Barkley single-handedly has brought the Sixers back. He now has 23. He has killed the Bulls in this first half.
And Jordan looked around at the end and said, hey, is anybody going to come and help on this guy?
Bulls by 10. Pippen outplayed by Mahorn. He got the step. Won't count. does not get the call on the continuation. The foul before the shot attempt called on the horn.
Two pretty good players going one-on-one. Right now, Michael Jordan saying, okay, I know somebody's coming to help me on this, but you know what? Nobody was there.
That foul by Mahorn does put Philadelphia over the limit. John Paxson back on the floor. Paxson and Jordan in the backcourt. Cartwright with Grant and Pippen up front. Scottie Pippen to the line for the first time today. Pippen only a 70% free throw shooter.
You know what was interesting? Pippen during the regular season, 7:06 from the foul line. In the first playoff series against the Knicks, 7:06 from the foul line. Consistency.
Bulls by 11 as we come up to 1 minute to go in this opening half. Now Barkley one-on-one with Pippen. Here's the help. He was triple teamed. 24-second horn went off. Play continues. Well, Pippen with a hop, skip, dribble, and the bucket.
There's no excuse from that. 276ers, Mahorn and Gilliam watched him go around Barkley and go all the way in to score a layup. Someone has to step out, step in for a charge, go for the block, but don't let him make an easy score.
Bulls by 13. Ricky Green. Michael Jordan on the rebound. 20 seconds remaining in the half.
Just when the Sixers had made a little run to get them right back in the game, they just kind of lost their concentration here in these last 2 minutes. The Bulls with an opportunity here to go up by as many as 15.
And Jordan goes to the hoop and draws the foul with 5 and 9/10 seconds to go. Barkley called for the foul.
Barkley anticipates, tries to step in, and as he turns the corner, actually Grant had Gilliam blocked out, and then Mahorn was behind both of them, so no one could get out to him.
Michael Jordan, 6 out of 7 from the foul line. Phil Jackson in a discussion with Bennett Salvatore, who is listening.
Yes, as most officials will do, they'll listen, they'll nod their head and say, yes, you're making an excellent point, and then they call a game the way they want anyhow.
Wait a minute, were you told that you are making an excellent point? Can you cite situations?
Yes, in all honesty, I can say that there were times when they said you're making an excellent point, but then the end of my statement, they call the game they want to, and it doesn't make a difference.
Cartwright sitting down with 14, 15 apiece for Jordan and Pippen. Barkley, the high man, with 23. So the Bulls lead 57-42. Pressure by Chicago. Livingston applying it on the horn. Not allowing the Sixers to get up court. And Jordan off the steal. The Chicago Bulls have a 17-point lead at halftime.
Sometimes you wonder, why you're going to press with 5.9 seconds to go? This is the reason why you press. You always take those 2 points if they want to give them to you, and Michael Jordan will be most happy to knock it down.
And much of the good play by the 76ers in the second quarter is ripped away by the Bulls in the final minutes. They lead by 17 as we go to halftime. Coming up, Bob and Pat. We'll be right back. Most part did it from the foul line. Phil Jackson not pleased that the Sixers spent that much time at the line. 17 for 20 in all. We'll be right back. We're a moment away from the start of play in the second half. The Bulls 59 and the 76ers 42. Let's go over to Ahmad Rashad.
All right, I'm here with Coach Jimmy Lanham. Coach, a little bit of problem offensively. All you got was from Charles Barkley. That's got to concern you.
Yeah, Charles obviously carrying the bulk of the load, so we have to get a little more distribution to our offense.
Talking to Mike Vitello, he said that he really noticed that there was a lack of aggression on defense. Is that a concern?
I think we were a little soft. They put us on our heels early on when we were missing shots and they were running out. So we have to get more aggressive at both ends of the court.
All right, Coach. Good luck to you in the second half. All right, back to you, Marv.
All right, Ahmad, the 76ers did cut that 20-point lead down to 10. Not able to get any closer, though. A 14-6 run by Chicago to end the second quarter. Barkley leading the way with 23, 18 for Jordan, 15 for Pippen, and 14 for Cartwright. Pippen 7 out of 9. Cartwright 7 for 8. Jordan hitting 5 out of 9 from the field.
When you look at the war zone, points in the paint, you see Chicago 30-14, and Bill Cartwright, obviously, the one who really did the damage.
Sixer ball as we get started. Hawkins, Green at the guards, Gilliam, Barkley, Mahorn. Up front, Armin Gilliam, who was quiet in the first half, had that shot deflected. Gilliam now 1 for 7.
Same way the Sixers started out the game. Go to Armin Gilliam. Started out this way. The second half, same thing. Jim Lynam must feel that if he can get him off, that's one of the keys for him.
And Armin Gilliam had a very strong series against Milwaukee, averaging 21 a game in the 3-game sweep of the Bucks.
But when you think of the two teams, the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Chicago Bulls, the first thing that jumps out is the difference in speed and quickness. The Bucks more of an execution, slow it down type team. Their speed and quickness, if any, is in the backcourt. Their big people slow.
And Pippen opens up by hitting from downtown. It is back to a 20-point lead. Bucks also without Dale Ellis. Jack Sigma was hurting. Hawkins trying to answer with the 3. And the foul called on Paxson.
On the miss, see if Armin Gilliam, well, we don't get a look at him actually putting an arm in the back there, but after he recovers it, Paxson in trying to tie him up, gets a piece of the arm.
Here's Barkley. Oh, what a move by Barkley, and Cartwright is hurt. Off the collision, Cartwright shaken up.
On the drive, Barkley switched hands, went from right to left to finish the play with his left hand, and as Cartwright rotates across to try and take away the middle of the lane, he's caught there by the left arm of Grant. Grant rotates, left arm, keep an eye on it right there. Ooh. In the eye-nose area of Bill Cartwright.
So Bill Cartwright, who has dealt out some damage, most of it inadvertent over the course of his career, that time took the accidental poke from his teammate, Horace Grant. And Will Perdue has checked in. Like Horace Grant has shed the goggles.
But by hitting his teammate, he will pass him on over to Bill Cartwright.
He has been wearing the prescription goggles. Running out with the call on Hawkins. That is his 3rd. The Bulls lead at 62-44 with a minute and a half gone by. And the 3rd, Michael Jordan to the line.
Perhaps after shooting only 46% in the series against New York. Grant said, let me get rid of these goggles and see if it helps in the next series.
19 for Jordan. And Bill Cartwright apparently all right, getting set to report back. And Cartwright hears the cheers from the crowd. So Jordan now 9 for 11 from the line. Again, the one-on-one matchup. No help for Pippen. Now Grant over. And Gilliam has the shot. He is now 1 for 8. And that is a double dribble.
He's just trying too hard. He knows that he struggled during the first half. They come to him again to start the second half. Starts out slowly. He's trying too hard to help this team. He knows they need his help out there.
Armin Gilliam began his NBA career as a #1 draft pick of Phoenix, 2nd selection overall. Last year dealt to Charlotte for Kurt Rambis. Averaged just under 19 a game for the Hornets. Here's Jordan. And then Gilliam obtained in the deal for Mike Jaminski back in January. Here's Barkley, able to penetrate through 3 Chicago Bulls. Paxson stopped by Green. It is a 19-point Chicago lead. 2.5 in. 3rd quarter. Pippen from Cartwright.
When you run the type of offense that Chicago does for the entire season, they have a lot of confidence in ball movement. They have a great understanding of the shot clock and how much time is left on it. That time, great example right there. Patience paying off.
Biggest lead of the game, 21-point margin. Green had the uncontested reverse. Paxson going right at Gilliam. The 76ers calling for time.
See your nearest Honda dealer for details of the Accord lease program. By the big taste of Miller Genuine Draft Light. Big draft taste comes to life. And by Right Guard Sports Stick. Anything less would be uncivilized.
All right, welcome back to Chicago Stadium. This is Ahmad Rashad. During that last timeout, Coach Jimmy Lanham is inserting Ron Anderson for offensive purposes. Too much load on Charles Barkley that needs him offense. Marv?
All right, Ahmad, the 76er bench so strong against the Bucks and very effective during the regular season against the Bulls. But nothing aside from Charles Barkley has worked today. It has been an early knockout delivered by the Bulls, led by as many as 20 in the first half. The Sixers made a run, but the Bulls on a rampage once again. They have outscored the Sixers 17-4 over the last 5 minutes. They've also hit their last 7 field goal attempts. That goes back to late in the second quarter. And here's Anderson. Played very well by Pippen. Hawkins for Barkley.
Even though the Sixers wound up with a score at the end, that was one great stretch of defense by Chicago there. Their rotations were terrific, but good ball movement by the 76ers.
Barkley has 29. You'll recall the conversation we had. There's a hold on Barkley. That's his 3rd foul. The conversation with Phil Jackson, he mentioned earlier that he felt his club was lackadaisical defensively in the last meeting between these two teams 3 weeks ago. Well, the message has been brought forth very clearly. That has not been the case here today.
No, they want them to know that we can shut you down whenever we want, and you're not getting back in this game as Michael Jordan continues down to the low post to just shoot over his opposition.
71-48. Unless there is a miraculous turn by the Sixers, this one is taking on the look of what the New York Knicks ran up against in Game 1 of the Bulls-Knicks series. What a shot by Barkley, who has 31. In Game 1 of the previous series, the Bulls beat the Knicks by 41, the worst loss in the history of the Knicks franchise in playoff competition. Grant. Very soft rim here in Chicago. Usually friendly, yes. And Mahorn was stopped. Good play by Pippen to break it up.
Another example of the great recovery. A blind pass. Barkley sees Mahorn under the basket, fires it through the entire defense, yet they recover. Barkley sees Mahorn, fires it. Watch the recovery here. A swipe as 2 Chicago players surround the ball.
Barkley spotting up against Grant. Now Cartwright over to help. Anderson. Ron Anderson has been quiet. He is only 2 for 7.
The guy that the Bulls are leaving alone at the defensive end is Rick Mahorn. They're doubling Barkley with Bill Cartwright, Mahorn's defensive player.
And Mahorn has been no threat, 0 for 2 from the field. Jordan for Grant. Bulls lead 73-52. And Ronnie Nunn indicating illegal defense for the 3rd time today against Chicago.
We're right behind Michael Jordan. There is nowhere for him to go here, and somehow he finds a teammate under the rim. He just has such sensational hang time and the ability to see the entire floor.
And Michael Jordan in command in his matchup with Hersey Hawkins, who will shoot the technical. Bulls by 20 with 6:37 to go in the 3rd. Anderson forced to work hard by Pippen. Here's Barkley splitting through, and he'll go to the line once again. Excellent defensive sequence by the Bulls. Horace Grant was called for his 2nd.
One thing they're going to make Charles do is earn the points. They keep coming at him with the 2nd man. He knows there's somebody behind him, but he's so strong that he's able to split 2 defensive players. You've got to get to him quickly, and you've got to try and keep a body on him, 2 bodies on him. That's why Phil Jackson has said, let's double him with big people as much as we can.
Barkley, 11 for 12 for his 32, 11 for 12 from the foul line. And the Bulls now lead 73-55. Chicago Bulls 61-21 during the regular season, best record in the Eastern Conference. They are the 9th team in NBA history to win 60 games in a season. Michael Jordan with 25. And again, a 20-point Chicago lead.
Jordan down in the hole, posting up, knows he can shoot it over the top of any of these guards that the Sixers have out there.
Paxson over to help, called for the leg block. Sixers get the new 24. Tomorrow, a couple of Game 5s coming your way here on NBC. It'll be Atlanta and Detroit, Indiana and Boston, starting 12:30 Eastern Time with Showtime with Bob Costas and Pat Riley. Down to Game 5 between the Hawks and the Pistons and the Pacers and the Celtics.
Those older teams struggled a little bit, the Pistons and the Celtics.
Anderson. And the Bulls now lead 75-57. What a performance last night by the rifleman, Chuck Person, bringing the Pacers from behind to knock off the Celtics.
Yeah, but if he just adds a little bit of emotion to his game, I think he'll be a little bit better.
Cartwright and Barkley on the rebound. Nice lead for Hawkins. And he was hit, took the hip check from Pippen. That's 2 on Pippen.
The Chicago personal fouls on 33.
Barkley threads the needle by firing through the defense, and I'd say it's a little more than a hip check on that one.
Hersey Hawkins to the line and shoot here.
So Hersey Hawkins to the free throw line. He's 3 for 3 from the line. Back to the subject of Boston and Indiana, and we'll be on hand to call that one tomorrow. As Gail Gardner reported on Showtime, Celtic players were disappointed with themselves. They felt they were affected by the crowd at Market Square Arena in Indianapolis. The Celtics said they lost their poise last night. How unusual is that to hear?
Well, it's not unusual when you think about the fact that they're experienced, they're veteran guys are the people up front. The ones who have the basketball in their hands the most are the young backcourt people. So perhaps the crowd had an effect on the guards who, in turn, don't get it to the big people when they should, where they should.
And over the last couple of years, Celtics have had difficulty with the Pacers in Indianapolis. Pippen. And again, it's Barkley on the rebound. Here's Barkley. Changed his mind. Hawkins for 3. 4.5 to go in the third. Nice pass. Scottie Pippen with the flip off the dribble for Horace Grant.
There's that communication. You just know where everybody is on your floor when you play those 5 guys together. They've been doing it all year. They just have a certain feel for one another.
Anderson. He was hit up top. Caught it to Hugh Evans.
One of the big pluses, the fact that Pippen can lead a fast break and then has the ability to dish it off to a power forward who runs the floor extremely well in Grant.
Pippen assessed with his 3rd. Bulls lead it by 18. Ricky Green. He is now 1 for 5. It will be 76er ball. Again, Paxson over. And once again, a call for the leg block. Some nice goaltending work by John Paxson.
When you put the ball in a player's hands as much as the 76ers do with Charles Barkley, he makes so many good things happen, but then it's only natural that there are going to be some mistakes. In that series against Milwaukee where he played superbly, he still had 15 turnovers in 3 games, 5 a game.
Anderson forcing, not a good shot. Shot clock still at 13. Here comes Jordan, accelerating for the scoop, and he will go to the line.
I have to laugh because he knows he's drawn the foul. He hears the whistle go off. He's up in the air trying to hang there, and then somehow he will invent the way to get the shot up. This time, after crossing over, getting back into the lane, he's going to flip this with his right hand underneath with reverse spin at the last second.
Foul called on Mahorn, his 3rd. Michael Jordan during the regular season averaged 31.5 to win the NBA scoring crown for the 5th straight season. He shot a career-high 54%. 27 for Jordan. It's the Bulls 79. 76ers 59. Light pressure by Chicago. Now they go to the trap. And Ricky Green threw it off the leg of Ron Anderson, leading to the turnover. Here's Jordan. Foul by the horn.
And who else would you expect to come up with the loose ball other than Michael Jordan? He just seems to be around the ball at all times. He's got those huge hands, and if it's there for him to pick up, he'll find a way to get his hands in. He just kind of pins it on the floor, will eventually find a handle, and then head into dangerous territory with Mahorn in pursuit.
Mahorn called for his 4th, and he takes a seat. Manute Bol has returned. Manute played 12 minutes in the first half. Rick Mahorn has had a long afternoon, has not scored, only 1 rebound. Andre Turner is back, replacing Ricky Green.
The 76ers are not a big team. They're a small front line when you talk about height, and then they're not a real good rebounding team, ranking in the bottom 4 or 5 teams in team rebounds this season versus a team in Chicago who's strong on the glass.
And they have now reached the point where they have gotten destroyed by the pressing defense of the Bulls. They have not been able to handle it. Phil Jackson will only use it in spots. He'll flash it at him, and it's been very effective.
Yeah, this flash has been a long flash, I tell you that. He found something good. He likes what he sees. He's going to stay with it.
59 Chicago with 2:40 remaining in the third quarter. And we may be headed to extensive garbage time. It has been a blowout by the Bulls. Barkley thought he was fouled. Here's Jordan. Barkley remaining down court. Hit by Pippen. And the Bulls take a timeout. Pippen called for his fourth. 2:11 remaining in the third.
You wouldn't dream of lying out in the sun all day without some protection.
Michael Jordan leading the Bulls this afternoon with 29 points. However, in the previous series against the Knicks, he had lesser stats than usual, kind of on the low-key side, and we talked about it earlier with Michael.
Yeah, I guess as a leader, you got to find different ways to try to get yourself involved in the game. And I think with this team, it's very important to get everybody else involved, get their minds certainly feeling that they can make a contribution to this team. I feel that at any point in time I can step up and give my contribution. But I'd much rather see them give that output, and then maybe I can help them out in any way possible. So this series, I'm basically going to do the same thing. I'm going to look around and see what these guys are going to do and see if they're going to step up and give us that offensive output and defensive output, and then just try to implement my skills somewhere in between.
Well, Michael does have his 29, but the Bulls have received a good balance. 20 for Scottie Pippen, 14 for Bill Cartwright, 10 points scored by Horace Grant. And the Bulls with an 81-59 trouncing of the Philadelphia 76ers with 2:11 remaining in the third. It's been only Charles Barkley doing it for the Sixers. Rare miss from the line. He's now 12 out of 14 from the foul line. Problem is, Charles just isn't expressive enough. You have that idea?
He's so good in the time you spent with him. Yesterday, he was so good in that interview session.
I think he is right now, as the Sixers go to the trap and they have Purdue bottled up. Here's Hodges. I think Barkley is the best athlete in all of sports in terms, as Grant hits on the reverse, Bulls lead it 83-60 in terms of what he says, and also from the entertainment point of view in what is being said.
So you've got him basically on the
number one
all-interview MVP. That's it.
Will Purdue on the foul. Absolutely, Mike. I'm not only talking NBA, I'm talking throughout sports, because he is so honest. Certainly the 76er front office at times wishing that he were not that candid, but from the radio television point of view, it is most unusual to have a professional athlete react the way he does. Percy Hawkins sitting down. Robert Reed is back. And Manute Bol is now 2 out of 3. Now 3 for 4 from the line.
Another guy who's a pretty good interview, Manute Bol. Kind of interesting.
He's avoidable in it. One-liners, some of which you didn't get, but we understand that, Mike. Bulls lead at 83-62. Minute and a half left in the third. Greg Hodges shooting. Barkley going behind the back. Does it again on Hodges. Now Grant over to help. Crowd yelling to shoot. And Manute hits it, but it won't count. It is a traveling violation.
Jimmy Lynam can't believe that. He's saying, what did he do other than take the same 2 steps that Michael Jordan takes when he finishes the play?
What did he do? He traveled, Mike. Purdue over to set the screen. And Jordan goes to the left hand. That shot altered by Bol. And now he's fouled. It's called on Grant. That is his third. The Bulls over the limit. So again, Manute to the line.
And Chicago likes to hang in on the rebound and trying to force some turnovers after the defensive team secures the basketball. This time they triple team Manute.
And Manute is on fire at the foul line. 4 out of 5. Only a 58% free throw shooter. 83-63 Bulls as we close out the third. Usual capacity crowd here in Chicago. 184th consecutive sellout. Hodges.
But that time they used Manute Bol's man to set the screen on the dribble handoff. Manute jumped out, different from the first half, and challenged the shot. The result, a miss.
Sixers working the clock down. Andre Turner wanted Manute away from the paint. 3 on the 24. Turner. We're down to 10 seconds to go in the quarter. So the Sixers get a second possession out of it. Turner trying to hand off to Anderson, who fires. After 3 here in Chicago. It's the Bulls, 83, the 76ers, 63. We'll be right back after these messages and a word from your local station. It has been strictly a celebration of the Chicago Bulls, who lead the Philadelphia 76ers 83-63 as we head to the fourth quarter in game 1 of the best of 7. Chicago Bulls getting the balance scoring, led by Michael Jordan, who has 29. Coming up next, game 5 between the Seattle Supersonics and the Portland Trailblazers. Dick Enberg and Steve Jones will bring it to you. And tomorrow, another big day of playoff basketball on NBC, opening with Indiana and Boston, starting with Showtime with Bob and Pat at 12:30. That'll be game 5. Pacers and Celtics looking to advance. And on Showtime, a close-up look at one of the heroes of the series for the Indiana Pacers, Chuck Person. Chuck, a man who never saw a microphone he did not like. Kind of like yourself. Likes to talk on and off the court. Will Perdue lost it. And a tripping foul on the Bulls as Turner was sent flying. Chuck Person would be on my all-interview team also.
I kind of had a feeling you liked him.
I said that affectionately also. It could be pointed out as you see the trip called on B.J. Armstrong.
Have you ever said anything affectionately?
Of course. Chuck would understand.
Yeah.
83-63, a 20-point Bulls as Robert Reed connects on his first field goal attempt. Pippen, yes. And the Bulls lead again by 20. Charles Barkley with 34 points and 11 rebounds. Right now getting a rest. But you look at some of the... Oh, there's Manute.
He feels it today.
Yes. He has 6 points. Strange reaction from the crowd. They don't accept that shot.
And they've taken 2 points away from him already. I mean, this could be an 8-point afternoon.
Armstrong goes again by 20. Look at the rest of the Sixers shooting. Armin Gilliam, 1 for 8. Percy Hawkins, 2 for 9. Rod Anderson, 3 for 10. Andre Turner, zip for 6. Ricky Green, 1 for 5. It has been horrendous. Hodges off the steal.
But the first 3 guys you mentioned, Gilliam, Hawkins, Anderson, those are the 3 guys besides Barker that they count on for scoring. 6 for 27 between them. They're not going to get it done that way.
Phil Jackson telling us yesterday that the matchup he was most concerned about, aside from Barkley, there's a steal by Grant. Armstrong looking for Pippen. takes it himself, and he drew the foul. It's on Turner. The matchup Jackson was most concerned about was Ron Anderson, who's come off the bench on a number of occasions to hurt the Bulls, but not the case today.
Well, the defensive intensity and concentration today by Chicago, keying in on the main guys outside of Barkley that they had to stop, has been sensational. As soon as Anderson came on the floor, you could see Pippen just right up close on him. There were going to be no easy shots for him today. The same with Jordan, as we showed earlier in that replay, concentrating against Hawkins.
And Michael Jordan and Bill Cartwright and John Paxson sitting it out. Phil Jackson going to the bench. Stacey King up front now with Will Perdue and Scottie Pippen. B.J. Armstrong, Craig Hodges at the guards. And again the pressure by the Bulls. Gilliam for Reed. Turner facing the double team. Able to get it across the timeline and go all the way. Rebounded by Perdue. And he kicked it out. It'll be a Sixer ball. But first, a timeout taken with 9:45 left in the fourth quarter.
If I could afford a sports sedan, the road would belong to me. Bob, I'd have one of those multi-valve engines, independent suspension, and of course, a spoiler on the back. Yeah, if I could afford a sports sedan, life would be a cruise.
Oh, it's you, Bob. Presenting the Nissan Sentra SER, because rich guys shouldn't have all the fun.
Because if you don't watch your figure, who will?
It's the right beer now.
Because when it comes to water, the only place to start is at the top.
It's the right beer now.
Because when the party's going full steam, you don't want to fill up. So reach for the beer that won't slow you down. The Silver Bullet.
Coors Light, it's the right beer now.
휴가 중 전화를 주셔서 대단히 감사합니다.
Mr. Herbert, Mr. Kim says it's kind of you to call him during your vacation.
No problem.
뱅뱅 도는 은빛 미끼를 사용하시면 송어를 많이 잡을 수 있다고 하는데요.
He also says lake trout go crazy for silver spinners.
Getting an AT&T interpreter in the middle of nowhere is just one of the ways AT&T can help you. It's all in the cards. How can we help you?
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Nissan, built for the human race. By Delta Airlines, we love to fly, and it shows. And by the employee owners of Avis, we're trying harder than ever.
This is the scene last Saturday at the Bradley Center in Milwaukee, and the NBA continuing its investigation into the water-throwing incident. Several of the 76ers were engaged in a brief wet battle with fans behind their bench as the game is about to go into overtime. According to a leaked source, there are not expected to be any suspensions. Reportedly, some fans threw water at the 76ers bench. Some of the 76ers did the same. It is not clear who threw first. We asked Charles Barkley about it last night. Well, here are some well-prepared fans, just in case Charles had a notion in their direction. But we asked Charles last night about the water-throwing incident. He said, well, some of the fans who threw the cups of water should receive citations for fines. Apparently, Barkley received a citation from the city of Milwaukee.
Some people will just never allow you to put things behind you.
Are you talking about our production staff? And it's tipped home. Manute Bol with his second field goal. He has 8, and the Bulls with a 91-69 lead. 3 minutes gone by in the fourth quarter. Pippen. He got the step on Bol.
And he was going to make sure that Manute didn't get him from behind by throwing it down with one hand.
Scottie Pippen has scored 24. And the Bulls lead by 24. Anderson. Pippen off the steal. And Armstrong was looking for Purdue.
He was looking for that trailer coming down the floor. Took his eyes off the ball, lost the feel for it, turned it over. But to be sure that Minute doesn't get a piece, just put it down inside the net. Then you got a pretty good chance of scoring.
Anderson trying to work off the pick. Pippen right with him. Ball to the hook again. Minute Ball with 10 points. He's hit 2 hook shots. Or as Jim Lynam was telling us, he refers to him as a flip shot, but that upsets Minute. And now he says, well, yes, it is a hook.
But seriously, yesterday, Jim Lynam did tell us that the team has more confidence now in throwing Minute the basketball. And they feel that he can give him a score. And they feel it at the same time he's a pretty good passer. Let's check out the form on this hook shot by Minute. Jump hook, half turn.
Very elegantly described. Robert Reed called for the foul to put Stacey King at the line. Robert Reed began this season playing in Italy, and then it was Tulsa in the CBA. He signed with the 76ers 2 weeks ago, appeared in the final 3 games of the regular season. So even at his stage, 13 years in the NBA, he was willing to give it a shot. Played in Europe, then the CBA, and has made it back to the NBA.
The Sixers have had so much respect now for the defense by the Chicago Bulls as Reed misses a jumper that they have gone to a motion passing game here in the 4th quarter.
It's a 4-on-2. Hodges for 3. Yes. Greg Hodges, winner of the NBA's three-point shooting competition at All-Star Weekend. It's his first from downtown this afternoon, and the Bulls lead by 26. A rare bucket for Armin Gilliam. It is only his 2nd field goal. He has 5.
It's tough to have everybody grouped up on the low box area and have the offense work the way you'd like it to. With Bol there, you can isolate him up high. Barkley's out of the game right now, so the box now belongs back to Armin Gilliam.
Good play by Gilliam on the deflection. Here's Turner. Bulls lead it 97-75.
The one guy that Phil Jackson leaves on the floor with this unit is Scottie Pippen. Give it the stability that it needs to continue to perform.
Armstrong match with Turner. Oh, got away with the palm. And that is rejected by Bol. And here's Gilliam. Turner on the recovery is fouled by Armstrong. The Bulls take a timeout with 6:20 left in the 4th.
Todd, the mysterious murder of Thelma Todd on NBC Sunday.
Why not? Minute Bol with 10 points. That is a season high. He played in all 82 games this season and had not scored in double figures until today, featuring 2 jump hooks. Coming up next, following the Sixers and the Bulls, it'll be Game 5, Seattle and Portland. The winner goes on to face Utah in round 2. Sean Kemp and the red-hot Eddie Johnson and the Seattle Supersonics against Clyde the Glide and friends and the Portland Trailblazers.
I'm sure that trade will be questioned for a long time. The Xavier McDaniel, Eddie Johnson trade. Phoenix being knocked out, Seattle still having a chance to move on here. Very interesting. You can get into a lot of debates about that one.
Well, Charles Barkley had the hot hand. He was a one-man operation, and he is sitting it out right now. Charles, despite the knee injury, hitting 10 of 13 for his 34 points. Looks like Charles also may have a headache.
Yeah, he's got a 20-point headache right now.
Yes, the Bulls 97 and the 76ers 77 as we come up on 6 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Phil Jackson staying with Armstrong and Hodges at the guards. Pippen, Perdue, and King up front. Shot clock at 2. Perdue gets it off. '76ers with Gilliam, Anderson, and Cole on the front line. Reed and Turner at the guards. Armin Gilliam. And Perdue able to hustle it down. They wonder why is Gilliam still on the floor. I would think from Jim Lynam's point of view, as Hodges tries the three-pointers, just trying to get Gilliam back into it. He had a very poor game, and I think he's looking ahead as Turner beats his man and draws the foul. I think Jim is looking at game number 2 because he'd like to see Armin put up some better stats to end this one.
Well, with the group he has on the floor right now, there's only one guy that they can go to down low for scores, and that's Gilliam. So it's a good move here to try and build his confidence back up. Let's see if we can get him going here down the stretch. Maybe it'll carry over in game 2.
Gilliam is 2 for 10 from the field. Andre Turner and hit his first 4 at the free throw line. And the Bulls now lead at 97-78. This reminiscent of how the Bulls came out against the Knicks in their first round, although in game 1 they clobbered the Knicks by 41. This one had the makings of a extensive garbage time back in the second quarter when they opened up a huge lead. They led by 20 in the first quarter. The Sixers shooting has been horrendous right throughout.
It may be hard for some people to believe that there is a carryover effect from year to year, that teams don't remember and learn lessons from the year before, but the Bulls certainly seem to be on a mission. They learned well from last season.
Armstrong held by Turner. Well, a year ago in the playoffs, Chicago Bulls defeated Milwaukee 3-1. Then they beat Philadelphia in 5 and lost to Detroit in 7. The Pistons have eliminated the Bulls from the playoffs 3 straight years.
Who do you think the Bulls are rooting for in the matchup?
Yes,
coming up, Atlanta.
Why, I think it's your former ball club, Mike. The Atlanta Hawks and the Detroit Pistons meeting in a 5th and final game tomorrow as part of our twin bill, opening up with Boston and Indiana. How did you fellas fare against the Bulls last couple of years?
Up until last season, we the Hawks almost slipped that we in there. Up until last season, the Hawks had played the Bulls extremely well. Last season, they whitewashed the Bulls and shut them out.
It's 98-78 Chicago. They have maintained the huge lead. Manute has gone hook shot mad.
The guy can't get a roll.
Manute always enjoying the action. We're down to 4 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter. Hanging in. Very few have departed. Here's Hodges. Had it knocked away. Turner able to remain in bounds. Anderson had it batted by Pippen. And again, a kick ball is called. So they get the new 24. And now, apparently, Phil Jackson feels it is safe to send Scottie Pippen to the sideline, and he empties the bench. That's Dennis Hobson getting set to check in. Another outstanding day for Pippen. Leads with 24 points, 6 rebounds. Dennis Hobson along with Scott Williams checking in. Both rarely used. Scott Williams, a rookie free agent out of North Carolina. Dennis Hobson has been on the disappointing side since coming over in the trade from the Nets. Now we're getting wild here. Wait a second. Two-hand over-the-head shot by Manute.
Fadeaway. You forgot to mention
sorry.
the fadeaway on there.
Ball has hit his season high of 10. He's 3 for 6 from the field. Turner on the steal. And puts the move on King, who draws the foul. Now the 76ers with substitutions. Brian Oliver, rookie from Georgia Tech, a second-round draft pick, and Dave Hobson. There's Dave, a 4-year man from Nebraska, checking in with 3 minutes, 10 seconds to go in this fourth quarter.
Another former Atlanta Hawk, Dave Hoppen.
They are all over the map.
All over the place.
Dave Hoppen, originally a third-round pick of Atlanta back in '86, and he was acquired from Charlotte in the Armin Gilliam, Mike Jaminski trade.
A young man who had been projected to be a high first-round draft pick coming out of college and then wrecked his knee, tore it, and he was still hanging around there in the third round. The Hawks thought it would be a good gamble and drafted Dave. Nice to see him go to Charlotte and eventually play well, and now the 76ers pick him up.
Bulls by 18. Just under 3 minutes remaining in the ball game. Here's Williams off the head fake. Scott Williams matched with the rookie from St. John's, Jason Williams, who just came on. That's Jason Williams. And the Bulls lead it 98-82. So you're saying there could be a carryover effect to game 2 on Monday night coming off this kind of blowout.
Carryover effect for who?
Negative for the Philadelphia 76ers.
The 76ers will see this film a number of times before the next game and will be reminded by Jim Lynam that they will have to come out and assert themselves a little bit harder and quicker in the next game.
Hobson fouled by Oliver. We'll be back in a moment.
Sometimes I dream I'm in Italy, driving this incredible sports car. And my boss is there. He says,
"We need a ride to the shareholders meeting."
Now, here's where it gets weird. The sports car has 4 doors. I mean, there's no such thing as a 4-door sports car. It's just a dream, right?
In trying to make an artistic statement, one should be careful not to let one's personal aroma do the talking. In order not to offend the critics, I recommend Right Guard Sports Stick. It provides maximum protection and the freshest scents, a sublime palette of odoriferous emanations. After all, a true artiste should be remembered for his inspiration, not his perspiration. Right Guard Sports Stick. Anything less would be uncivilized.
The average soda drinker likes to play records.
Give it up!
The average Minute Maid orange soda drinker likes to break them. The big orange taste of Minute Maid orange soda, the official soft drink of the NBA.
When you own your own business, you sweat every detail.
Avis is the only major rent-a-car company owned by its employees, and they're trying harder with a 49-step quality control program to give you a well-maintained car. Avis, we're trying harder than ever.
An innocent girl, a crazed kidnapper, a community enraged. David Soul stars in the chilling true story, Cry in the Wild, on NBC Monday.
Back in Chicago as we wind down, today's Miller Genuine Draft Player of the Game, Michael Jordan. And on behalf of Michael, NBC and Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. Superb all-around game for Jordan. 29 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and he did it at both ends of the court.
Once again, doing what he had to do to get his teammates involved, and if they needed him, he was there to give them the scoring, to give them the defense. He's got a great feel for the game right now, and where this team is and what they need to do to be successful in the playoffs.
Well, Dennis Hobson gets on the scoreboard as he hits his first of 2 from the foul line. Jason Williams with the rebound. Thanks, as always, to our producer, Tommy Roy, director, Andy Rosenberg, the master of the stat sheet, Mr. Stats, Elliot Calv. As we come up on 2 minutes remaining of the game, here's Oliver, and he was hacked by Hobson. Both clubs have emptied the bench. A long day for the Philadelphia 76ers. Only Charles Barkley able to come through 10 for 13, but look at the rest of those stats.
In the point guard spot, 2 for 13 between Ricky Green, Andre Turner, an area where Phil Jackson expressed to us yesterday he had a deep concern, was going to pay special attention to that area, and they certainly did today.
And it led to a brutal shooting performance by the Sixers at 34%. Show you how far this game was out of hand. The Bulls had a 10-point lead or more for the entire contest except for 6 minutes. Armstrong giving Chicago a 101-84 lead. And as bad as a 17-point deficit is at this point, Williams rejected and then able to hit. It seems much worse than this.
You got the feeling today that the Bulls were never really threatened by the 76ers. They didn't have enough weapons out here today to really do the damage they had to if they were going to win this game. And Chicago just gained or regained control of the tempo, momentum, whatever they wanted to.
High point man of the game, Jordan 29, Pippen 24. Cartwright came out strong. That was a significant factor for the Bulls. He had 14, Grant with 12. Barkley leading Philadelphia with 34. And then you have to look down the list. Hobson fouled by Oliver. After Barkley, you have 10 points apiece for Hawkins and Bowl. Once again, Dennis Hobson to the line. He came to Chicago on the eve of the draft. Acquired from the New Jersey Nets for a #1 draft pick. Turned out to be Tate George, plus second-round picks in 91 and 92.
And they were hoping that Hobson would be a player that when they sit Michael Jordan down, they'd have another guy who could explode in scoring, a guy who had some size in the guard position like Michael does, a guy who had been a scorer before he came here. Since the trade, Dennis Hobson has not given him what they expected from that position.
Coming up next, 5th and final game between Seattle and Portland. Nick Enberg, Steve Jones will bring it to you from Portland. Oh, Jason Williams supplying some instant offense. Makes the score more respectable, but this is one that the Sixers were not in throughout the second half. Michael Jordan set out the entire fourth quarter. The pull-up by Turner. And the Bulls now lead 103-90. And as you see, we are down to 40 seconds remaining. In effect, it has been a coronation of the Chicago Bulls. Stacey King on the putback. Bulls 105, 76ers 90.
Well, at least the fans here are fair. When Stacey does something they don't like, they boo. When he does something well, they cheer for him.
Well, time running down, 20 seconds to go. And the Bulls hearing it from the crowd. Livingston fires. Hoppin with the rebound. Williams lost it to Livingston. Gets it off. Defeat the Philadelphia 76ers by the score of 105-92 in Game 1 of the best of 7. With Game 2 coming up here in Chicago on Monday night. Charles Barkley with 34 points. Michael Jordan with 29. We'll be back to wrap it right after these messages.
Wouldn't it be great if instead of being in hot water with your boss, you were in warm water in the Caribbean, and swimming toward you was a beautiful fish? No, it was a woman, and yes, she had beer, Keystone. The premium gold-filtered beer in a can that tastes like beer in a bottle because of Keystone's specialty line can. And wouldn't it be great if you told your boss to take that job and sure, I'll have another? Keystone and Keystone Light. Bottled beer tastes in a can. Wouldn't that be great?
If I had a Z, it'd be silver. No, black. And I'd take it to a racetrack. Hold it. Nah, drive it cross country. That's what I'd do. Wait, Germany. Yeah, now that'd be epic. Running a Z flat out on the Autobahn. Too bad you can't drive to Europe.
Who's got the marketing plan? I do. Sales forecast?
Right here.
Presentation boards?
Murphy's got them.
Where's Murphy?
The final boarding call for Delta Flight 6.
Maddie Klein knows careers are riding on Delta flights.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes. We better go.
Nobody told me you had a cast.
Nobody knows.
Passengers should now be on board.
Maybe that's why more business people fly Delta than ever before.
Mr. Murphy, you have a nice trip.
Thanks. Already had one.
Delta loves to fly and it shows.
The Portland Trailblazers, the Seattle Supersonics, their fifth and decisive encounter. Do or die. Next.
Back in Chicago in a wipeout, the Chicago Bulls over the Philadelphia 76ers, 105-92 in Game 1 of the best of 7. Marv Albert with Mike Fratello and Ahmad Rashad saying so long. Bob and Pat coming up, followed by Portland and Seattle in Game 5.